He barely brushed the handlebar, a soft graze as he passed the row of motorcycles. But the biker didn't see it as an accident. He saw an old man in a faded coat and decided that was reason enough to lash out. One crack rang out, and an 84-year-old veteran collapsed onto the sidewalk, still holding the loaf of bread he'd just bought. People at the bar stared. Nobody helped. Phones stayed in pockets. Silence won. But 30 minutes later, that silence was broken. A deep hum filled the sky, and a Black Hawk came down over Main Street. Soldiers in tactical gear fanned out like a storm rolling in. Because that wasn't just an old man. That was someone's father. And someone's unit was listening. If you believe age doesn't take away honor, tap like, type respect in the comments, and follow, because some uniforms never come off. Most people ignored Walter Briggs. Just an old man in tired boots, shuffling past the same bar every Thursday for 12 years. 84 years old. Army mechanic, retired. 3 deployments, 2 commendations, 1 body that didn't move like it used to. He didn't ask for thanks. All he wanted was a seat at the diner, a warm coffee, and time to walk home. That morning was colder than most. Walter wore his old army jacket from 1983, sleeves patched, but warm. The left chest bore a faint outline of the name tag, W.B. Briggs. He stepped out of the corner deli with a paper bag tucked under his arm, bread, cough drops, a postcard for his grandson at the academy. Across the street, a cluster of bikers stood outside a bar, leaning on their polished chrome motorcycles, laughing too loud. Walter didn't flinch. Noise didn't scare him. He'd learned long ago that silence was more dangerous. As he passed the bikes, his jacket caught a handlebar, just barely. The bike wobbled but didn't fall. Walter stopped, turned, hands raised. Didn't mean to, son. Jacket's bulkier than I thought, he said, with an apologetic smile. No sarcasm. No disrespect. Just decency. But the tallest biker stepped forward. Sunglasses gleamed. He didn't check the bike. He didn't speak. He slapped Walter. Hard. The sound snapped across the street. Walter crumpled to the sidewalk with a groan, still holding the bag as the bread rolled into the street. The bar crowd watched. Some chuckled. No one moved. No one helped. Walter didn't cry out. He sat up, knees trembling, face flushed more from shame than pain. He gathered the pieces of bread. His cheek stung, but he didn't touch it. He just tucked the dusty loaf back into the torn bag, as if it still mattered. People walked by. A couple crossed the street. A waitress glanced out the diner window, then turned away. The biker laughed again. No fear. No regret. No consequences. Walter stood slowly, using a bus stop pole for balance. His cane had rolled a few feet away. He limped to it, groaning softly, not from pain, but from the weight of being seen and ignored. He sat on the bench and exhaled, the cold burning in his lungs. His hearing aid buzzed. His pride buzzed louder. Back in 1970, he pulled 3 men from a burning jeep. In 2025, no one would offer him a napkin for the blood on his lip. A teen walked by with earbuds in. Walter raised a hand slightly. The boy didn't look. He wasn't after pity. He just needed to know he was still there. Inside the bar, the biker lit a cigarette. Old guy bumped my ride, he laughed. Walked right into it. Walter's jaw tightened. He'd been called many things, soldier, sergeant, father. Never worthless. Until now. He said nothing. Just wiped his lip with his sleeve and pulled out a phone. The screen was cracked, keypad worn. One contact, Eagle 6, emergency only. He pressed it, leaned back, and waited. 15 minutes. Walter didn't budge. He wasn't angry. He wasn't afraid. He just sat still, like he was waiting for something only he knew was coming. Then the vibration began, deep in the concrete. People looked around. Someone stepped outside, squinting. The thrum thickened. Glasses on tables trembled. "That's not a truck," someone muttered. They were right. From beyond the tree line, a Black Hawk emerged, slicing through the air like a storm. Fast. Low. Intentional. People froze. Phones came out. Dogs barked. The chopper descended behind the buildings. At the same time, a black SUV screeched to a halt in front of the bar. The doors opened. Boots hit pavement. No yelling. No confusion. 12 soldiers in tactical gear spilled out, moving with purpose, not noise. One man stepped from the chopper. No glasses. No swagger. Just command. Maybe early 50s. Broad. Unshaken. He walked straight to the bench. Walter looked up, blinked once, and nodded. The man didn't salute. He knelt. "Dad," he said, brushing dried blood from Walter's cheek. "I got here as fast as I could." Walter didn't answer. He didn't have to. The biker turned, noticing the silence. His face shifted as he saw the patch, U.S. Army Special Operations. Commander Briggs. And suddenly, the pieces clicked. He hadn't hit just an old man. He'd hit the wrong one. Commander Briggs stood slowly, no weapon drawn. Behind him, his men fanned out, forming a half-circle that quietly sealed off the block. No threats. No need. Inside the bar, the music stopped. A waitress ducked behind the counter. Someone closed the blinds. Briggs stepped forward. Voice quiet but clear. "Which one of you struck a veteran?" No one answered. Then the biker raised his hand slightly. "It was just some old guy," he said. "Bumped into my bike." Briggs didn't blink. "That old man served this country while you were still learning your ABCs." A murmur rippled through the watching crowd. The biker smirked, trying to sound tough. "You military guys think you run everything." Briggs took one step. Just one. But it erased every inch between restraint and reckoning. "I didn't come to threaten anyone," he said calmly. "I came because my father bled on a sidewalk while cowards watched." He nodded toward one of his men, who stepped back and radioed. 2 minutes later, a cruiser rolled up. No sirens. Just steady authority. Briggs pointed. The biker was cuffed without a word. No struggle. No sound. His confidence dissolved into the pavement. The street quieted. Doors creaked open. People emerged slowly, as if from a fog. Walter sat, hands on his cane, expression unreadable. Commander Briggs knelt again. "You okay?" Walter nodded. "Barely. I've had worse," he said. "But not in front of so many who did nothing." That line hung in the air. A gray-haired woman stepped forward, eyes lowered, handkerchief in hand. "I should have said something. I'm sorry." Walter accepted it gently. Then, it began. A young man removed his hat. A father lifted his child. A boy saluted, clumsy but sincere. The bar crowd changed. Phones lowered. Heads bowed. An older man stepped up. Then another. A line of veterans formed, shoulder to shoulder. Air Force. Navy. Marines. Walter sat straighter, not from pride, but release. No longer invisible. That night, footage hit the internet. Raw. Unedited. The slap. The silence. The Black Hawk. The arrest. By morning, the story spread nationwide. Sergeant Walter Briggs. Army mechanic. Gulf War. Kosovo. 3 Bronze Stars. 1 Purple Heart. Until yesterday, unseen. The bar issued a weak apology. Unfortunate incident. No one bought it. The mayor called Commander Briggs. Wanted to honor Walter publicly. Briggs agreed, with one condition: if it's for him, not the cameras, he'll come. A week later, the town green transformed. A stage. Chairs. Middle school chorus. Walter arrived in a wheelchair. Not because he was weak, because someone finally offered to push, and he let them. The crowd stood as one. Not out of politeness, out of recognition. The mayor spoke, but it was Commander Briggs they remembered. He stepped to the mic. My father didn't fight back. He didn't need to. His life spoke louder than fists ever could. He turned. You showed them, Dad. You changed this place. Walter lifted one hand. Firm. Deliberate. The applause lasted 4 minutes. Not for medals. Not for drama. For every quiet act no one clapped for, until now. Days later, Walter got a letter. No return address. Just 6 shaky words. If you'll meet me, I'll listen. It was from the biker. Walter could have ignored it. No one would blame him. But something in the letter reminded him of an old comrade, broken, but not beyond reach. He asked his son to arrange a meeting. In a courthouse room, Kyle sat with hands clenched, stripped of swagger. Walter entered and sat. Silent. I didn't know who you were, Kyle muttered. That's the problem, Walter said. You didn't care. Kyle swallowed. My dad served. Vietnam. Came home broken. I grew up hating uniforms. Walter nodded. I knew men like him. Brought home more than they left behind. Kyle slid over a paper. Court says I need therapy. I volunteered at the VA too. I want to do better. Walter placed a hand over his. You won't earn it fast. But you'll earn it. That meeting never made news. But it mattered. 6 months later, Broad Street looked different. A bronze plaque stood on the wall behind the bar. It read, in honor of Sergeant Walter Briggs, a quiet shield between us and chaos. Beneath it. He never asked to be seen. He simply stood. People paused there now. Students left flowers. A mural was painted. The park was renamed Briggs Field. Walter still walked there Thursdays. Same coat. Same boots. But now, someone always waved first. Kyle drove vets to the VA. No uniform, but his actions fit like one. Commander Briggs visited once. They sat in silence. After a while, he said, You taught them, Dad. You reminded them. Walter smiled faintly, watching a boy tie a flag to his bike. Maybe. Or maybe they just remembered. And when the wind blew near the bar, if you listened close, you could almost hear the rotors again. Not from above, but from memory. And the moment one man refused to fall alone. If you believe respect shouldn't follow pain, if you know some uniforms never truly come off, hit like, type honor in the comments, and follow Silent Valor Stories. Because the quiet ones, they're the ones who move the world.